winners and then we say let's go. So come on, it's time to watch the show. We're talking hardball, Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw. We're talking hardball.
Welcome into the latest edition of Betting Weekly Hardball. On this Monday, I'm Doug Kezirian alongside Chris Macero, who looks very tan and got some color, I would imagine, this week at Del Mar Racetrack. How are you on this Monday morning?
I'm doing good. It was nice to see the contingent from Vegas make the trek down to the Seaside Oval. We saw you and Humans and John Murray from the Westgate and a bunch of other guys. Aaron Redding was it was a fun weekend. A lot of big hits. Yesterday wasn't too hot, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, very profitable. So I'm ready to roll into another baseball week.
A lot of good times out there. You mentioned some betting circles, some pro bettors, things like that. Made the trek. We do it every August. Always a good time. Good to connect in person as well. We saw Jimmy Ott out there as well. So good to see Jimmy making the trek from Louisiana and spending some time out in SoCal. So always fun to hang out in person. Gave him a couple WNBA winners as well. Always a pleasure. But we turn the page to baseball and really interesting stuff, in my opinion. We'll get to all this throughout the next 40 minutes or so. But just want to remind everyone, if you like what you hear on our shows, sign up for the newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. And it is awesome content. Links to all the podcasts here and Bet Rivers odds. And speaking of odds, things have changed with a few things. We'll get to the American League MVP that no longer has Aaron Judge favored. But I want to start with the most ridiculous stat I've heard in a long time, and that's saying something with the Houston Astros. Their opponent has scored first in 18 straight games. So the last time Houston scored first was July 4th, Independence Day. And it is truly bizarre because this is a team that has 14 games above 500. Has two aces really in starting pitching, good lineup, and somehow they're letting other teams. And this is a prop you can wager on. So that's what makes it super interesting. And that's when those worlds collide. I always find that compelling. Chris, I guess first things first, from a baseball perspective, before we attack the money line and the prop odds, what do you make of a team like this? Is it predictive? Is this pitchers don't start fast for them, or their lineup starts slow? What is it with this, and why this streak?
I think it started when I had the Nerfy, when Hunter Brown, who had only given up 2 earned runs all year at home, trotted out about 3 weeks ago and promptly gave up 3 runs in the first inning. So maybe I started this trend. I'm not quite sure. It is a bizarre stat, but baseball, that's what it is in baseball. You get bizarre stats, you get crazy streaks, you get bad teams going on long winning streaks, and supposed great teams going on long losing streaks. So it's just one of those things. You don't want to get in front of a trend like that. If you're betting it, or if you have been betting it, you just continue to bet it until it loses. I'm not going to be betting it because I remember we talked when this show first started. We had the Pittsburgh Pirates discussion of, they've scored under 3 runs, what it was, like 16 straight games. And sure enough, we talked about it. They scored 4 runs. So I'm not going to get involved with this streak. This game would be tough for me to bet Houston. I know Valdez is pitching tonight, 11-4, 2.67 ERA, even better at home, 5-1, 1.66. But hey, Washington's won 2 in a row, and Houston just got swept, by the Rock'em Sock'em A's now, who's just been lighting up the scoreboard. Unbelievable night from Nick Kurtz with the 6 for 6, 4 home runs, almost 5 home runs. I mean, I could never lay this price with Houston, especially on a 4-game losing streak, even though they have a really solid home record, and Washington's not that great on the road. But tough spot there. A lot of big juice you got to pay to lay this number with Houston. So this would be Washington or pass. I don't have a play on the game though.
So Astros are minus 278 on the money line. As for this prop, there are ways where you can bet this team to score first and win. And then there's also just this team to score first. And the Astros are minus 127 at Bet Rivers. And this price for every game is always lined with 2 major variables: the starting pitching, right? Who's the better pitcher and the better team? And then obviously the road versus home. So the Nats are the road team, but the Astros are minus 127. with Valdez on the bump. I couldn't bet it because, like you said, Chris, I have not been playing it throughout. But man, I do think there is a component to this. Like sometimes streaks and trends are just random, right? It is what it is. It's kind of laughable. But I do think there's something to be said about a team that is slow to adjust. And what this also tells me is maybe they're a good live betting team, right? If they're always down to start the game, maybe they're a team that you should be jumping in at a much better price after they spot a team a run or something like that. So it's just fascinating. I always try to look at the betting domino effect. And for example, they're one shy of the all-time record or the expansion era of 19. The team that did this 19 straight with their opponents was the 87 Orioles, who finished 28 games below 500, dead last in the American League. I mean, it's a team that was really bad. So it's just funny that this team's above 500 and has this streak going.
Yeah, that was the Billy Ripken, Cal Senior Baltimore Orioles. A terrible time for the Orioles at that point in their franchise history. I mean, I could see Washington scoring. I mean, this guy Lord, his last start, 4 innings. He's mostly a reliever. Only has 7 starts all year. But last time out, 4 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run. So maybe they're up first, so they have the first shot at it, and maybe this guy can pitch pretty solid the next couple innings, and you get a run off Valdez. I mean, it's plausible. I mean, I'm not going to be involved in it. It would be Washington or pass for me. Houston's not playing well right now. Usually they're one of the best home teams, but they've been struggling at home lately. Loses of 4 in a row, just got swept by Oakland or whatever you want to call the A's. So it would be Washington or pass. I'm not going to get involved in this streak.
Well said. Well said. I think you captured it. I think the Astros do win the game. Don't want to pay to see it. 7.5 is a fairly low total, all things considered, but Valdez could be awesome today because he has that stuff. But I will be tracking who scores first in this game, which is not something I could say very often about a game I do not have action in. I mentioned the American League MVP odds. We have a new betting favorite. Coupled with Aaron Judge's injury and the Yankees slide, Cal Raleigh, now $1.30 favorite at Bet Rivers. Judge minus 106. Your boy Scooble, the third favorite, but a distant 30-1. Now, history of baseball, this sport of all the major ones has been the least tied to team success for the MVP than anything. Like Trout has won this award when the Angels missed the playoffs, okay, when they're 500. But typically, team success is a large component to this in baseball. Missing the playoffs and getting MVP would never happen in the NFL, would never happen in the NBA. But in baseball, it has happened. It's very statistically driven. Raleigh's having an incredible year. It's insane. But so is Judge. Now he's hurt, but it's not supposed to be a lengthy injury, but we don't know. But the Yankees are about 5.5 games back. There's a slide. They're duking it out right now in homers and RBIs. Raleigh has the lead in both of those categories in the American League. Judge is the batting champ right now in the AL. It's a fascinating race, but we're talking Judge was, 20-1 favorite kind of thing, maybe even higher at one point, and now Raleigh's, who was a huge long shot, he's the favorite.
You know what? I couldn't bet Raleigh because if Judge comes back, he's going to win it. His average is over 100 points higher. I know Raleigh's a catcher, so that probably gives him a little weight. But Judge is having a Gold Glove type of year in right field, center field. He plays all 3 positions. For a big guy like that, it's just very impressive. And the Yankees would be absolutely nothing without him. I mean, they have no one else hitting on this team. We talk about it all the time. Why do they still pitch to him? I have Scooble at 125-1, and the door was open, but he's just kind of been lackluster the last few starts. He just hasn't been the same dominant guy. He wasn't dominant in the All-Star game either. So, maybe he can get back on track. Maybe Raleigh wears down because he's a catcher, but I couldn't bet Raleigh as a favorite because if Judge does come back, he's going to win it. So, these odds are based on, hey, we have to do something. We have to make the move because he might not come back. But I could never lay, favorite price on Raleigh. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have him earlier at double-digit odds, good on you. But no way I'd be getting involved with Raleigh at this point. And I'm just hoping Scooble can turn it around and maybe Raleigh falls off and Judge doesn't come back. So we'll see what happens.
Would you be betting Judge at this price?
No, because you don't know if he's going to come back.
Really? So you think
I would only bet
that...
Judge at this price if you have Raleigh at 10-1 or higher from earlier in the season. Obviously, you take
right.
Judge right now. I just don't want to get involved in this in this market at all. I mean, again, it's an awards market where you don't know what the voters are thinking. It's very subjective, and you're at the mercy of a sports writer who might not like Judge or Raleigh or some sort of interaction where we've seen that before. And to your point, it is different in baseball. You don't have to be on the winning team. Andre Dawson, 1987, won the MVP on a last place team. So 49 home runs. He was the most dominant player in the National League that year. But I'm just not going to get involved in this. I don't, one way or another. I'm not getting involved.
I embrace awards markets because you mentioned the difficulty of it, but that also means it's difficult for odds makers. And sometimes they're asleep at the wheel. I personally would have usually take these Raleigh Flyers, but I just didn't think there was a path. I thought Judge injury was the only thing, but I didn't. Well, Raleigh sustained the hitting. I mean, the home run numbers are pretty ridiculous, and what he's doing is unprecedented in a lot of ways. But Judge, like you said, batting over 100 points better, may win the batting crown, could catch him in homers and ribbies, carrying the Yankees team that should make the playoffs, even if they don't win the division. Do the Mariners need to does Seattle need to get into the playoffs for him to have a chance? Just because it's close race, like you mentioned
No.
I mentioned Trout. If there's not a clear cut guy on a playoff team, the playoff gets the nudge, right? Wins the tiebreaker.
No,
I
I mean,
think that
everyone knows who Cal Raleigh is now. It's the big dumper. He's the home run. He's in
right.
the home run derby. He won the home run derby. It's not like he's coming out of nowhere now. Everyone knows who he is. So no, it's between these two guys unless Judge doesn't come back, Raleigh falls off a cliff, and Skubal goes 8-0 his last 8 starts. I mean, one of those two guys is most likely going to win the thing. But I'm just not getting involved in any one of these prices because Judge might not come back, and I don't want to bet Raleigh because if Judge does come back, he's not going to win. So
he'll monitor it, maybe pounce if we get some certain news on Judge or something like that. But the big lucrative payouts are scooped up. You have Skubal. I'm a similar boat. I got nothing. I have no portfolio, and it's frustrating that I did not at least take a shot at price of Raleigh, but it happens. But I'll continue to monitor it. I think Judge could be a good price, all things considered. He's got the New York factor. That's going to help. There is a West Coast bias. Like you said, it is trendy. Everyone knows who Raleigh is, the big dumper, all that stuff. But ultimately, Judge could have just too much bandwidth and with stats and juice with the voters. But it is fascinating that we've seen this gap in odds certainly swing. Let's go to some games today that are certainly intriguing. Brewers host the Cubs. Milwaukee, one of the hottest teams, obviously in baseball. They've been on a tear the last month or so. We have a pick'em game, -113 each side at Bet Rivers. And what a pitching match we have. Matthew Boyd going for the Cubbies, and Mizorowski, the rookie, the talented lefty rookie, going for the Brewers. I love betting on Mizorowski. I would bet him, but I also like betting on Floyd. So for me, it's a pass. I do like this Brewers team, but the Cubbies obviously have all the put all the check marks here with the good pitcher, good lineup, stuff like that.
Yeah, Mizorowski's only given up 1 earned run and 3 starts at home, 3-0 with a .56 ERA. Yeah, it's tough to go against either one of these guys. Boyd's been lights out too, 11-3, 2.20, 2-3 with a 2.45 on the road. So hasn't been getting much run support to have 3 losses with only a 2.45 ERA. Opponent's batting 182 against Boyd. Mizorowski hasn't faced the Cubs yet. So one prop I'm looking at in this game, Wilson Contreras. He's 2 for 3 versus Boyd with a home run. So I'm going to play a little small bet on over 1.5 total bases at +135 on Wilson Contreras.
Okay, because you like the history there. Can I interest you at all in a Mizorowski strikeout prop? Last time I was on the show with him pitching, I got the over to cash, 5.5 -121. The pitch count though, last outing, excuse me, he only had 64 pitches, had a short, his outing was called short. Before the All-Star break, though, through 91 against the Dodgers, 72 against the Mets. He's gone into the 80s as well. Any interest in your part?
No, I'm definitely going to pass on that because I'm pretty sure the Brewers organization came out and said they're only going to kind of baby him. They want to have him fresh for the playoffs. Hopefully they let him pitch in the playoffs so we don't have a situation like we did with Strasburg back in the day when they had a shot to go for the World Series and they said, "Oh no, we're not going to go for it. We'll be back there next year." And then they weren't back for a long time. So I hope we get to see the kid pitch in the playoffs. I played a bunch of Brewers plus 900 for the NL this past week, so I want to see Milwaukee and I want to see this kid hang around and hopefully they catch the Cubs. I'd be nice for them to get the division, not have to be involved in the wild card games. This team's awesome at home, 34-19, but we're not really sure how long Mizrachi is going to pitch. So I would be against doing any sort of props on him because he might only give you 60 pitches and then they might pop him out. They want to keep him fresh for the playoffs.
Yeah, according to MLB.com, it's a deliberate effort to manage his innings and build him back up because of the period of inactivity with the All-Star break, things like that. So that is a variable. We saw this with Shohei when he came back and he pitched 2 innings, 3 innings in his first games back as a starter. The Dodgers were careful there. I think it's hilarious and also gut wrenching to have to bet props knowing that you're limited. But he only lasted 11 outs in his last game, and we should also mention these two teams are tied. This is first place, identical records, first place on the line tonight. What about an under? Are you interested in an under 7.5 given these guys going? Or is it, contingent on just we don't know how long Mizrachi is going to pitch?
Well, no, I mean, Milwaukee's got great pitching all around. Their bullpen's strong. I mean, you've only gotten small sample size, but Boyd's faced the Brewers a couple times. Only 6 for 33 with 1 home run. The 1 home run is Contreras, so that's why I'm liking him a little bit on a prop angle. But yeah, 8's a good number for an under in this game with 2 of the best pitchers going. And I wouldn't be too worried about Mizrachi coming out after 4 or 5 because the Brewers do have a solid bullpen. So I'd be inclined to an under. I'm not playing it. I'm just going to play that one prop in this game.
Okay. I should mention, in case you guys are wondering, a Nerfy is minus 134. I'm not going to get involved, but man, he's been so good, and Boyd as well. I'm going to go first 5 under. I'm going to make that my first play of the day. Getting some plus money. It's that quirky number. It's 3.5 or 4.5, depending. Unless it's a game in Coors Field, it's usually 3.5 or 4.5, and then the juice, depending on the starters, it's gonna be 3.5 here in this game, and the plus money on the under at plus 113. So I will play that for first 5 under. Obviously, if you get the Nerfy, you're golden, or you're looking really good. I shouldn't say golden, but you're looking really good. So that's something that I'm going to roll the dice a little bit. You get a buffer. I'd rather do that than the Nerfy at minus 130 something, and then a fluky run. You still have life if you do the first 5 rather than the Nerfy. You don't get the immediate reward though, which is always part of the equation when it comes to that. Mets, Padres, 2 teams that have playoff aspirations. Mets have a 1.5 game lead over the Phillies in the National League East. They've won 7 straight games. Obviously, huge win on Sunday Night Baseball. Nice comeback in San Francisco. So now they're in San Diego. Frankie Montas going against Dylan Cease. Padres are favored. Chris, you're a guy who likes to bet into streaks, things like that, or bet on streaks, I should say. Mets are getting plus money here, and they've won 7 straight.
Yeah, I had the Mets last night, and I would usually be looking to fade the team off the Sunday night game that had to travel on the road, but the Padres had to travel too, so I'm not going to play the game. I can't back Cease. He's been terrible. And they've been trying to trade him. They've been trying to get rid of him. Boston didn't want him. They tried to ship him off for Durant, and that's just not going to happen. Cease is only 3-10 with a 4.69. A little bit better at home with a 3.48, but I don't know. The Mets lineup hits them okay, 279. I'm not going to be on this game either way because you don't want to go against a 7-game winning streak, but I also don't like the angle with the Sunday night team traveling on the road the next game. Padres really strong at home, 31-18. One prop I'm going to look at is Lindor. He's 4 for 12, 3 home runs against Cease. So you can look at a home run prop at about plus 400 over total bases. 1.5, you're looking at about even money, minus 105. So Lindor season pretty good. Cease hasn't been strong all year. I think Lindor gets a little bit going tonight. Probably gets over that total bases. Maybe pops one out.
All right. I like it. Yeah. I mean, and I always think there's a lot of positive like juju when you get a comeback win, like a nice late rally, 2 runs in the 7th, run the 9th. I mean, that's how it's done, right? And when they're feeling there's a little bounce in the step in the clubhouse, I think that does carry over. You mentioned Cease's struggles. I couldn't get involved in Dylan Cease. I'm not going to run to the window and bet Montas either. I could see the Mets bats getting to Cease, maybe a team total or something along those lines. Maybe Montas pitches well enough against the Padres lineup that's really underdelivered this year. So I would look at a team total over for the Mets as opposed to a game total over in the game, even though Montas could certainly get rocked. But yeah, it's a pass, but it's a difficult pass because you feel like the Mets should be the right side, but not with Montas on the bump. You got anything else to add on this game?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the Mets just swept the Giants 3 on the road, but before that, they were 6 games under 500. And the Padres have one of the best home records in baseball. For what it's worth, they're 31 and 18. So, Cease pitched a little bit better at home. I don't want to go against either one of these teams. They're both on a little, 7-game win streak. Padres got the last two in St. Louis, so a little bit 2-game win streak. They're about to maybe get home, maybe get hot. So I'm just gonna, sit this one out. I'm actually gonna be at the game there tomorrow night. So maybe the Padres get hot. I have them, like I mentioned, we played them for the division plus 1100. So let's see if we can get there. They're only 4 out. The Dodgers look like they could be spiraling out of control. Not many runs at Fenway this week, so I'm just going to stay clear of the game, watch the game. I can't get a good feel either way what's going to happen.
Like you said, I said they're underdelivered this year. This lineup, blah blah blah. Padres are still 8 games above 500. They're having a decent season. They're 4 games back. You and I mentioned the 18-1 a week ago today, just to win the division, and so now they've closed that gap from about 5.5 or so to 4. So chipping away, it's a big series for San Diego. We also want to remind everyone to get involved in the conversation on the YouTube channel, the comment section. Please always welcome your thoughts. We got some people inquiring about games, and we'll get to some of those games that you've asked about later. Corey does, thinking about taking the Padres on the run line. I don't trust Montas at all for the Mets. -1.5, plus 165. So kind of an alt line is interesting. So Corey weighing in. If you're going to get to Montas, maybe it's a big number and a lot of crooked numbers. I could see that. If he doesn't have it, he could get knocked around a little bit.
Well, it could be an over too. I mean, Montas has got a 4.62 ERA, but he's 3-1, so he's getting run support. It's just one of those things. He hasn't pitched great, but he's got 3 wins. He's only started 5 games, so he's not. I remember the first game he came back, he pitched really well, and then since then, not so great because the ERA is high. Like I said, I just don't have a feel either way on this game. Both teams are coming in, traveling. It could go either way. I don't want to get in front of the Mets win streak, but I don't want to bet against the Padres at home. So I'm just going to play that Lindor prop, see if he can get something going.
All right, good stuff as always. Let's keep it in Southern California. In Anaheim, Angels hosting the Rangers. We go from a 7-game win streak to a 6-game win streak. That's what Texas is riding right now. They are sizable road chalk, -$2 with Jacob deGrom on the bump. Halos plus 160 on the comeback at Bet Rivers. And pitcher that I do not know, Kakanowitz or something. I feel like that old Coach K commercial in the limo, Galowikic. You see some of the numbers as well. It's 8.5, little juice to the over. Run line would be probably a popular play at the book for Bet Rivers with the Rangers -1.5, -118. You get the road team, you get deGrom. That's got to be a popular play. Late first pitch, one of those situations. I do love betting deGrom. I'm guilty of that. He's such a beast. This Rangers lineup is enticing, or this Rangers team, I should say. I think they can make a run in the playoffs. Them and Houston, I've been talking about early in the season when the Yankees were off to their great start and the Tigers. I said, Rangers and Astros have my attention because once you get to the playoffs, you need those aces. And obviously, deGrom checks those boxes. And they have other guys like Nick Eovaldi, who you were on Friday. You went 1-0 in Friday's show. Angels have some pop, though. They are a feast or famine team with a lot of pop in the lineup. Now, they don't always deliver, a lot of low averages, but if they get a hold of them, I think deGrom can keep them off balance, though. What say you?
Well, I've been on Texas all weekend. I've had them 5 out of the 6 games in their winning streak, and I'm playing again tonight. I think this price. I don't like to lay big numbers, but I almost think this price is a little light. Only -200. This Kakanowicz, he's terrible. 3-9, a 6 ERA. Even worse at home, 2-4 with a 6.65 ERA. So I'm not really sure. The Angels have, they won 1 out of their last 7 games. The only guy that hits deGrom is Travis d'Arnaud. So maybe, if you want to back up your play, if you play the Rangers, you might want to take a shot at some sort of prop on d'Arnaud. He's 3 for 10 with 2 home runs, but the rest of the lineup hasn't done much of anything against deGrom. This team's really, really rolling right now. The bats have starting to wake up. We're waiting all season. When are they going to score some runs? It's finally happened. The only drawback is that this team just some reason can't really win on the road. They have a terrible road record, only 22-30. So for a team that's right in the mix, tied for the wild card, to be 8 games under 500 on the road gives you a little bit of pause. But I think the pitching matchup is, A+ in your favor if you're going to be on the Rangers. This other guy is just, if you have a 6 ERA and you're not pitching in Coors Field, you probably shouldn't be in the big leagues. And you're going up against one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the American League with a 2.28 ERA. I'm going to keep riding Texas till they lose.
Some recent performances. Their last time facing the Angels was a 4-game series in Anaheim. They went 2-2. The last time this pitcher pitched against his last time out was against the Rangers, but it was and he gave up 8 earned in 2 2/3 innings. So that was on July 10th, that 4-game series I mentioned. So what do you typically do sometimes, especially division matchups like this one, when a pitcher's last time out 5 days ago was the same team? Do you think it's advantage batters because they recently saw him, pitchers because they can try things differently? What do you make of that?
Well, sometimes I like to look towards an over because I think the batter gets more familiar with the pitcher. I mean, unless he's a really talented pitcher where he's changing it up and he's tricking you into what he wants you to hit. But I don't think this guy's tricking many people with the 6.65 home ERA. So I'm going to stick with what works. And DeGrom's been on fire all year, and the bats have woken up. And the Rangers are one of the hottest teams in baseball. 15 wins in July, tied for second most with the Brewers and the Red Sox. Still an outside chance to someone to catch Toronto, who has 17 wins in July. But Texas has been pretty much as hot as Boston and Milwaukee. And they're making the push at the right time.
All right, I'll take the bait. I'll take the Rangers on the run line. I do think the -$2 is cheap. I think it's a good bet. I also think the run line is cheap then, consequently, especially with the road team. I do like some of the bats in the Angels lineup, but they have such low 220s, 200s averages. I think DeGrom's not going to be full. I think he gives up he goes 7 innings, 2 earned. I do think they scratch. He rarely throws like absolute nasty gems like he did with the Mets. They'll get to him, maybe 1 inning, couple doubles in the gap, bloop and a blast maybe. But the Rangers should feast at the dish. And I do agree that the offense has picked up. Like you said, they're hitting the road. They've been on fire lately. I think they're 9-1 their last 10. Almost all those games are at home, but I'm not too worried about going into Anaheim and taking care of business. So I do think they cover the 1.5. I think there's value there as well. Some other games that have caught our eye, another division matchup. This one in the American League East. Yanks host the Rays. Yanks spiraling, continue without Judge. They've lost 3 of 4. They are favored here with their young rookie pitcher on the bump, Schittler versus Rasmussen. And I mean, this Rays team, we talk about it a bunch. Like they don't do anything great. They're like solid teams. So Schlittler is pretty solid he's shown flashes like any rookie, right? He's going to have some downtime. We're going to talk about another rookie in the next game in terms of starting pitcher, but I like what he's done. His strikeouts have been pretty solid, and I believe in him, but I just don't believe in their lineup.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: the Yankees have trouble with Rasmussen. Oh, in his career, 4 for 31 opponents hitting against him with no home runs. So this is going to be. I'm not going to bet Tampa because they're on a 4-game losing streak. But this Yankees lineup without Judge, and you're bringing in a pitcher who's been pretty solid all year, hasn't got a lot of run support, 7-5 with 2.93 ERA, 3-0 on the road. Like I said, the Yankees bats only 4 for 31 against them with no home runs. So where's the offense going to come from? Maybe look towards an under here, but I'm not going to trust the rookie pitcher. He's only 2 starts, 4.35 ERA. He started out hot the first game. He had like the first 3 innings, but then he gave up a bunch of runs. And then the last start, and his starts have been sporadic. He had like 10 games off between starts. It's just not a good. I don't know. It's like almost like they're setting him up to fail. I just don't know where the offense is going to come from for the Yankees, especially against Rasmussen. I'm not going to bet Tampa because they're on a 4-game losing streak. Just going to sit this one out. I don't think the Yankees. You mentioned before about Yankees making the playoffs. I'll tell you right now, if Judge doesn't come back, they have no chance to make the playoffs. No one's coming to save this team. There's no pitching coming up. Cole's not coming back. They're not
Eric
hitting.
Cole's not walking through that door.
Yeah, and yesterday, I mean, what a miracle win. They scored all 4 runs in 1 inning, won 4-3. They were on the verge of, just getting totally shellacked by the Phillies. And they're barely holding on to that final wild card spot. They're up by a game and a half, but there's like 4 or 5 teams chasing them down. So I'm not too confident with the Yankees lineup without Judge, but I'm not going to play Tampa. I just think Rasmussen definitely has the big pitching advantage tonight.
I interest you in a Yankees team total under 4.5 minus 129.
Yeah, I could lean that way. I mean, that seems pretty high considering they haven't hit this guy at all. They only have 4 hits against them and 2 starts. So Rasmussen's been pretty solid all year. I'll maybe look into that. I haven't played that, but that sounds like a decent angle because I'm not sure where there is no offense coming for the Yankees. They're not a good offensive team with Judge, and without Judge, they're a terrible offensive team. And they don't do a lot of other things right. We've talked about on the show a bunch. They don't run the bases well. They don't field well. They have like 6 or 7 DHs all playing different spots, and it's just not a well put together team. Cashman just seems like he has a job for life, but for some guy
I know, right?
who's been working for the team for like almost 30 years, you would think he would know how to put together a team. He just puts together a bunch of hitters. It's not a well put together team where this guy does this guy runs bases, this guy fields well. It's just Judge and a bunch of guys who try to go deep every time, and just hasn't really worked out. And especially when you lose a couple of your best pitchers, this team's in a little bit of trouble. I actually think they're going to miss the playoffs.
Interesting. And look, when we were talking about the MVP with the odds of Judge and everything, we should also mention you just touched on it. I appreciate that. Yankees are a game and a half up on Seattle, but a bunch of other teams are in the mix. So Yankees are by no means, cruise control to the playoffs. So there's a lot that can happen. And I do think there are times where the Yankees have like that, the Bronx gets rocking, some pitchers get rattled, some randoms get hits. I don't get that vibe right now for the Yanks. I think they're spiraling the other way. I think with the Airs and Boone's on the hot seat as always, and there's just yeah, I'm going to make this an official play. I'll go Yankees under 4.5 runs minus 129. Corey in the chat seeing it our way as well. He likes under 8.5 minus 05. Also says maybe split your bet between team total under and the full game under. Could do that as well. So that's interesting angle. I'm just gonna go team total. I think that's the play. But I think you're right, man. This team is not. We talked about the Mets having a little bounce in their step and comeback win last night in Sunday Night Baseball. I think the complete opposite is what's going on with the Yankees right now. Dodgers and Reds. I mentioned another rookie starting. Burns going for Cincy, the stud out of Wake Forest, who just throws gas. His debut was against the Yankees, I believe, in Yankee Stadium. Struck out the first 6 batters. Yamamoto going for the Dodgers. $1.75 road chalk since he's won 4 straight. Blue Crew 5-13 its last 18. Run line for the Dodgers, basically a pick 'em minus 109. Yamamoto's one of the healthy pitchers, the rare healthy pitcher that the Dodgers have because they started the season with an abundance of starters, but that's not been the case. He's only given up 1 earned combined in his last 2, 5 earned in his last 6 starts total. So he's been grooving, but the offense here and there, I do like Burns just watching him, but he does give up a lot of runs. He has gas, gets the strikeouts. He's awesome. But he's not exactly unhittable. And I think the Dodgers, who mash righties, can get to him.
Yeah, I just don't really like what's going on with the Dodgers lineup though right now. I mean, you're at Fenway Park. You only put up 10 runs in 3 games, and Yamamoto hasn't got much good run support all year. He's 8-7, but his ERA is 2.55. So that just shows you that for some reason they're not hitting when he pitches. On the road, he's got a 1.84 ERA, but he's only 5-3. So it's this lineup, the most feared in baseball. It's really just been Ohtani. Ohtani's been amazing.
Right.
Betts is having a down year. Freeman's not having the best year, and the others that always used to step up for this lineup just haven't been doing it. So Burns is kind of erratic. He hasn't even notched his first win yet. I know some of his stats are skewed due to that Red Sox start where he was tipping his pitches, but he's pitched a little bit better at home, 4.09 ERA. But I like the way the Reds are playing. The Reds are a very streaky team. They either win a bunch in a row, lose a bunch in a row, and they just swept Tampa Bay, 15 runs in the series, 4 in a row. They got a great home record, 31-22. This would be Reds or pass for me. I could never lay 153 off a team with 2 losers in a row and a team that doesn't get much run support for Yamamoto, even though he's pitched really well.
What about a strikeout prop for Burns? I know the Dodgers mash righties, but you mentioned Otani's been carrying. It's 5.5 or 6.5. I mean, the guy gets 10 strikeouts some games. Like I said, I'm with you. I would throw out the Fenway Park performance. It's tempting to take over 6.5, even plus 128. Man, there's a lot to like with a strikeout prop with Burns.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be involved in the strikeout prop. I'm not gonna be involved in this game. I really couldn't find an angle where I thought I had some value. If I did play it, I would lean to Cincinnati just because they're on a nice 4-game winning streak. They play well at home. Dodgers are only 2 over on the road. So for the greatest team in history, you're only 2 over on the road. And I'm going to be rooting against the Dodgers. I'm going to be rooting for my Padres division bet. So just it's fun to root against the Dodgers here in San Diego when the Padres are playing well. So hopefully we can close the gap another game tonight if the Reds can keep it going.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Burns is fun to watch if people want to dabble, at least to check out the game. Tigers finally get a win. They snapped another 6-game skid. So they've had back-to-back 6-game skids with one win in between all that. So they're 2-12 in their last 14. Melton going for Detroit. The interleague play with the D-backs in town. Rodriguez going for Arizona. I'm kind of waiting for this Arizona team to get super hot. They're short dogs here. Tigers have come back to earth, but that's okay. Maintaining that kind of a win percentage was just not happening for the most part. I got nothing on this game. I just don't want to bet on the Tigers right now. They've been in such a funk, especially offensively. D-backs with Rodriguez, there's like, and I always have trouble with interleague games, so I'm a pass here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any official plays on the game. I'll give you some leans. I would definitely lean towards the over, even though the Detroit bats haven't been too hot. This Melton, he's got one start. He got pretty lit up. 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, and it was against not the Yankees, not the Red Sox, not the Dodgers, it was against the Pirates. So, ouch. I mean, this is a guy you might, this isn't that's not a tough lineup to go against and on your first start and have nothing. You can't be too confident in him coming back for a second start. And Erod, I'm not sure what happened to him. He just not having it this year. 3-6, 5.5 ERA, even worse on the road, 2-4 with a 5.6. Opponents in the Tigers lineup are hitting 345 against them, mostly because of Gleyber Torres. So if you want to look towards a prop, this is a guy you got to play over his total bases, maybe a home run prop. He's 9 for 27, 333 average with 4 home runs. So Gleyber Torres sees it well against Erod. You can get total bases over 1.5 plus money. I would recommend that. I think Torres gets a couple knocks tonight, maybe puts one out.
Okay. One of the hottest teams in baseball, the Blue Jays, I believe they have the best record in baseball. Their odds have crashed to win the American League. They're the first game on today's slate. Bassett on the road against Zach Eflin for Baltimore. This Orioles team's been a giant disappointment all year. They bounced back a little bit like a month and a half ago, but for the most part, they've been on the struggle bus like no other. Pick 'em game here. Blue Jays on the road, minus 110. Feels tempting here. Any thoughts for you?
This was my first bet of the day this morning. I played the Orioles. I liked the way the line looked. It was a little fishy. Why is the Orioles the favorite? Small favorites, pick them basically both ways. But listen, Toronto's a 500 team on the road. Baltimore's pretty much 500 at home too. But like you said, they've had not a great season. First game of the year, or the first series of the year, Eflin pitched against Toronto. 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 12-2 victory. Baltimore over Toronto. Bassett is terrible on the road, 3-4 with a 5.66 ERA. Couple guys hit him really well too. Gunnar Henderson, 4 for 10 with 2 home runs. I'm going to play Gunnar Henderson total bases prop over 1.5 minus 105. Definitely going to play Baltimore. I think this is going to be a tricky series for the Blue Jays. I'm not going to play a series price because it's a 4-game series and there's a doubleheader involved. But I could see Baltimore giving Toronto a little bit of trouble here. It's kind of like a letdown spot for the Blue Jays. They've been super hot. They've won a bunch of series in a row. But I think there's going to be some regression to this Blue Jays team. They're only 42 games plus in the run differential. And for a record that they have, that just doesn't add up. They should be a lot closer to 500 than they are. Well over, 20-something games over 500. But The numbers just don't add up. So there's going to be some regression coming the last 2 months of this Blue Jay team. And I don't think minus 250, which they are right now to win the division, I would not be behind that. Problem is, Judge is out. Red Sox are still 6.5 back. So it is tough for them to catch up. But I feel like regression's coming for the Blue Jays. And I think this is going to be a tricky series. 4 games in 3 days with a doubleheader on Wednesday. Could be a little tricky for the Jays.
Okay, so minus 109 official play for you with the Orioles. I know another game that caught your eye is the Braves. You've been fading them a bunch. They're in Kansas City. Royals have not quite delivered, at least the offense has. Rich Hill off his debut at 40, what, 5? 1.8 ERA in his debut with the Royals this season. Just remarkable. Spencer Strider in Atlanta in town. Atlanta, heavy road chalk here. What do you got?
Yeah, Rich Hill from Milton, Massachusetts, 45 years young. You know what? He pitched really good the other day against a
He
great
did.
Cubs lineup. He pitched 5 strong innings. There was a couple errors involved. He had 3 runs given up, and only 1 was earned. 1.80 ERA for a guy that's off the scrap heap. And I'll tell you right now, what a lineup to go against right now. The Braves not hitting at all, and they're still pricing Spencer Strider and the Braves like it's 2023. He hasn't been good at all. 4-8 high ERA, terrible on the road. 1-4 with a 4.55 ERA. Give me the Royals. Whatever money you can get, plus 150, 148 on the board right there. I really like this team, and I'm going to play them all, both straight, like I mentioned. I played the Orioles, I played Texas, and I played Kansas City. But I'm going to put the Royals and Texas in a little bit of a 2-team parlay when you get back, over plus 300. I really think this Kansas City team, they have time, they do struggle scoring runs at some point, but the Braves are a complete fade right now. I mean, let them beat me. They've lost 5 in a row. They only have 18 road wins all year. So I'm not sure how they could possibly be minus 160 on the road tonight. With a pitcher, I know he has a big name, but he has not pitched well all year, especially on the road. So give me the Royals plus the 148.
Right, I like that. Well, great breakdown, and you're right. Braves have been one of the biggest lose. I think they're the second biggest loser on the money line all season, behind only the Colorado Rockies, who have historic losses. Right, Braves have just not delivered. The lineup's not hitting. The pitching hasn't been there. Some injuries as well. It's been a lost season in Atlanta with a team that had such high expectations coming in, but good rip of games. And Cuban on the in the comment section, like the over in Baltimore game you just touched on. You think the bats can get going in Camden Yards, but maybe you thought there'd be a bit of a flat spot for that Blue Jays lineup. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Always appreciate everyone getting involved in the conversation. We really appreciate everyone liking and subscribing. It really helps us out. We're over 10,000 subscribers of the Bet Rivers Network. Always appreciate everyone doing that. Next show for on the Bet Rivers Network is top of the hour, Betting Weekly Fast Break. We have a couple games in the W, some other things to discuss in the NBA with some moving parts. Luka looks like he's going to sign that extension when he gets back to the States next week. So we'll have the latest with that. Wes Reynolds will join me. So we'll talk about that in a little over 15 minutes from now. So we hope you join us. Both shows, Monday through Friday, Betting Weekly Hardball, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, Betting Weekly Fast Break, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So good stuff across the board. Chris, we hope you stay hot here on Betting Weekly Hardball. Nice 1-0 on Friday. A few more plays today. And I gave out mine as well. So good stuff across the board. Thanks to Chris Macero. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes who does all the heavy lifting to make us look good. I'm Doug Kezirian, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.